think the recording is started. Okay, welcome to April Showcase. This might be a quick one. Each project will just provide a progress status of where the teams are and what the next steps are. But at the end, we'll also have a company-wide update from Christine. So let's kick off. We'll start with the project objectives for the Wildlife Watcher. So we're building a smart, affordable wildlife camera designed to capture all types of animals, including cold-blooded species and invertebrates. The camera will feature a reliable motion sensor, high-quality day and night imaging, long battery life, and onboard AI for real-time species identification. And the results will be shared instantly through LoRaWAN notifications. And we'll also have a mobile app to help users manage and configure camera easily, even when they're in the field. So what have we been doing? At the start of this month, we said goodbye to MVP1, that gecko use case, and started working on MVP2 requirements, so the rodent identification use case. And although we're still wrapping up a few things from MVP1, like the app flow and the motion detection, which I'll talk about in a second, the focus has now shifted to MVP2 phase, which, as you can see, it's all the stuff up until that orange line. And as part of this phase, we'll be largely focusing on uploading a working machine learning model onto the camera, and that model that would reliably identify a rodent. So we'll focus on the rodent use case. And another requirement will be a custom case and a new streamlined PCB to make sure that they're both aligned with each other and are working well together. As well as we'll be adding illumination to make sure that the camera works at night. And in order to enable real-time notifications, we are looking at LoRaWAN and TrapNZ as communication tools. And to improve the user experience in the app, we'll also be introducing project, deployment, and device management sections to expand on that basic camera operations that we have. So in addition to starting and ending deployment functionalities, we'll also have those three sections that I mentioned. So ability to view and edit projects, view devices that are in range, check the battery levels, the SD card status, and check for any firmware updates as well. Move on to the progress. So we have done quite a bit of work on finalizing the MVP2 scope just in general, and we put together a requirements document, but we've also started conversations about the next phase of the product, which is the beta version. But I won't be focusing on this version now. I'll talk about it in more detail next time. We have kicked off the device case work with the requirements review, and we have partnered with a company that will assist us with the design and build. And following from that, a new revised printed circuit board, or PCB, which is the brain of our camera, is being designed and built as well to meet MVP2 requirements and just to fit in that enclosure a little better. And again, we have reviewed the requirements for the PCB and are in the process of aligning it with the device case design. And the team is still testing the motion detection and working on some delay issues, but we are very nearly there. And also we have a new data ranger in our team. So welcome Adash. I don't think Adash is on the call today, but it's great to have him. Adash has done some backend review, and there will be some modifications introduced. And once that's completed, the start and end deployment processes will be finalized. And just finally, communication between the device and the application is being tested by the team as well. And we are in the final stages of the EXIF data structure modifications to make sure that the pictures have the correct metadata attached to them. And as for the next steps, I think I have listed everything already, but we are continuing all the pieces of work that I have mentioned. So the mobile app, the motion detection, EXIF data review, and the design of the device enclosure and the new version of the PCB. Are there any questions for the team? Lindy.
Hey, I have a question about because you're quite a big team. Like there's a few people in different places. I was wondering how do you communicate? Where do you have like your? How do you share tasks? How do you? Yeah, all this. Basically, how do you collaborate?
Yeah, great question. So currently we are using Slack. We have a specific channel for the team where we discuss things, we share things, but also sometimes via email. So especially if we communicate also with the external stakeholders or partners, then we communicate via email and share things through there. We store a lot of documents on the Google Drive. So we have different folders where we store different documents and then we share them around. And we also have a Notion page that has a summary of all the different tasks that we have to do. And all the documents, links to documents are listed on that Notion page as well. So everyone can access them and edit them if they need to. But we also do team syncs once a week. So actually, we had one just before this meeting. So we have them on Tuesday afternoons, and the team basically discusses the progress. Everyone communicates their progress of different work streams. I think I shared the work stream breakdown of our team a few showcases back. So we always just give an update on different work streams and different pieces of work, and we use GitHub projects to track our tasks as well, because we have different columns for those tasks: to do, in progress, done. So we just track the movement of different tasks through that. And then anyone that has any questions, they basically discuss them as a team during the team sync, or there's an additional meeting booked if there isn't enough time at the team sync. Is there anything from anyone else? Anything to add? No. Perfect. Okay, thanks for the question, Kalindi. Are there any more questions for us? If not, I'll move on to the Spyfish project. Kalindi, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. And as mentioned before, the objectives of the Spyfish Aotearoa project are to streamline and automate marine reserve reporting from the New Zealand Department of Conservation. Why is that important? First of all, just making sure that deployment or like going out in the field and the real information on the field, and then the report timeline is shortened, but also then this way the rangers can have more time to do things that are not just like looking through videos on the computer. And these are basically the four work streams or sections that we are working on. And I think I talked about them a little bit a few times ago, so we don't need to go into detail now. But if you go into the next slide, these are the three basically topics that were worked on over the last month. There's been a lot. We've been continuing cleaning the existing data and then bringing different things together from like different places, and also trying to automate some of these steps. At the end, we hope that the whole pipeline will be automated, but so far we're just like bringing things together and making sure they work and so on. And as we do that, we're also taking care of the robustness of the system. So setting up data and processes, validation, and also like refactoring code, making it more modular. And also there's been like code in different places. And this way, when it's in one place, it's then easier to work with. As we were doing this, there's been this, for me, a big question came up about collaboration and how do we build tools that are easy both to use, but also easy to contribute to. Because on one hand, we already work with many different partners and collaborators, and then it's like, how can we, and then, but also Spyfish, after all, is meant to be an open source project, which means that anyone can just use these tools on their own thing. But in order for people to be able to do that, there has to be documentation, it has to be easy to use, easy to customize, and also working in this area, there's a lot of people who might want to help. And then, so how do we, like our code base, can we set up issues that people can just look at and then maybe have a few days can work on that. So that's been on my mind a lot. And if you go to the next slide, this is actually also the question I want to ask people present here, which is basically, usually I just ask this question to our team, but I think this time it's maybe a good question also for the other teams, which is how do we build to promote collaboration? So I'll open the floor here and see who says something. Oh, Tobin.
I'd say that using the GitHub projects is actually a really good resource to have. We've tapped into it pretty much since Carolina hopped on our team, and well, we've had it for a while, but we haven't actively been using it until the past 4 or 5 months. And since dialing that in, it's a really nice way to not have to follow, not have to actively follow up with people because you've got your own allocations to places, and you can do things like tick boxes, and you can, segregate it into like sections of this is still to do, this is actions in progress, this is completed, this is bug fixing, etc. Yeah, like I haven't used it prior to working on it with just this year being, and it's yeah, a really valuable resource. I'm enjoying balancing with the team between that, and then on our sync each week we just follow up with checking on those status of those tasks, and then it's easy to not forget, get lost in email threads of like, oh, I was doing this 10 email threads ago 2 weeks ago. It's like, no, you've got your allocated tasks for this. So it's definitely a good resource that yeah, I'm enjoying using for sure.
Yeah, we also have the projects, the GitHub projects, and it's really cool how when you set up a task there, it automatically creates a GitHub issue. And then what I'm thinking now also is like, we create these issues in a way so it's like good first project or something like this that someone maybe external could jump on. Ash, I saw you also had a hand raised.
Yes, I did. In terms of problems that you're having, which is the problem that you think needs resolving first? So I don't know what you're doing, but if you could say, whether it's with the code base or just getting in touch with people in the right times, sharing information. You've got Google Docs, you've got, as Tobin quite rightly mentioned, the little board and the GitHub projects. So which is your most pressing pain point at the moment? And maybe we can have some ideas about that.
I think when I think it's the code is living in many different places or was built for many different like a specific use case, and then there was a tool built and then another use case the tool built. So like bringing all these things together. And also I guess one problem that comes with collaborating with external people is data access, which is hard and sometimes also impossible. So there's this, maybe one can create example data, but like code refactoring, when I was thinking about it, is something that someone also who doesn't have access could do potentially. So like it's just thinking about ways, if someone comes to me and is like, I have some time, what can I do? It's like, what can we give people? Like, how can we set up so that people who have the willingness to help can help? So it's not necessarily a pain point per se, but it's more like how to tap into this.
Oh, it's minimize the friction of a new developer, say, working with your code base.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
When we had a coffee chat, I showed you the container stuff that I was doing. Tobin's been using it, I believe, and Dave will be using it shortly. So what that containerization gives you, it gives you a standard environment that any developer who's coming to your party can immediately get set up and up and running. I don't think it took Tobin very long. Perhaps Tobin can speak of his experience of how that has helped him or hindered him, to see whether that would be something of use to you and your colleagues, I guess. So that's one way. I think it makes it a lot easier to. So we had an issue where we couldn't use the next version of the compiler and I could quickly test that. And should we change to another version, all Tobin has to do is just change to the version of the compiler in the configuration, and he's up and running. And rebuild image up and running, and that makes it a lot easier because you've got a standard environment working for all your developers, whether it's 1 or 10, and it's the same experience. So that will minimize the friction. And in terms of data sets, you could, I don't know how you store your data. If you store your data in Excel spreadsheets and stuff, you could create a repo and place it in there and version it. So you could get historic versions as well as the latest versions. And that would be a matter of just cloning. And that could be done very easily in a container as well. I'll just run the clone command and keep it in a specific directory, and the users who want to use it access, and it'll be the same every time. We can chat about this on a call later, because I want to see the types of problems and how we could resolve it, if that makes sense.
Yes, totally. And it was also just like an abstract question, and I like that your abstract answer to my abstract question was basically making it very easy for everyone to work on the same thing and making it easy to set up, and every change to be repeated for each developer that joins. Yeah, but happy to chat in the future as well. Yeah, that's anyone else wants to share something here? Otherwise, we can go into the questions for us. And this, and also the bonus week, this month's little video. And it's just also, I like this because it shows how much motion sometimes there is with the kelp and everything. Yeah, and thank you. Any questions?
No questions for Kalindi? Thanks, Kalindi.
Cool. Thank you, everyone.
Let's move on to Tash.
Right. Hi, everyone. So we're still working on the education program. This month, probably our main problem has been lesson 1 is just quite didn't flow well, and there was a lot of external links to other AI type tools. So I've been working at just tweaking really the lesson to make it flow, and working on a few more internal, like in-house resources, and they'll tie really nicely in with the videos that we've been working on, which we are hoping to get by the end of the week. So it's been pretty quiet really in regards to the education program, because it's been the last 2 weeks of school holidays. So we were at as far as delivering it. We're just, if you want to move to the next slide, Carolina, that'd be cool. Thanks. So yeah, kind of what next is, we're now relying on the schools to deliver the program. They're all starting this week with the deliverance. So it's really just waiting to see if they have any issues that we can help, that I can help solve, and just to get some feedback around what might need to be improved or what works well, so that we can then have a viable product to promote. So I haven't started promoting the program to the schools, but I'm hoping to do that within the next couple of weeks, once I just want everything to be right online before we go doing that. So that's pretty much where we're at. That's me. If anyone got any questions, it's fine if you don't, because it's pretty slow this month, but yeah.
Thanks, Tash. So I have a question. What was the feedback about that lesson then that needed to change? Was there anything specific or that didn't work?
I haven't had any feedback from the teachers around it. It's really just Victor and I working through it. Just as we're uploading it onto the platform, we're just looking at it with fresher eyes, because obviously lesson 1 was the first lesson I wrote in October. Or no, August, whatever. Anyway, so it's been a while, and it doesn't flow the same like the others. And it probably had the most external resources. Like, we're just trying to teach the students how to use ChatGPT as a tool rather than to do the work for them. And so just had to tweak things a little bit. So that's the only it's more feedback from Victor and myself, looking at it through reflective lens, I guess, rather than feedback from the teachers.
Great. Thanks, Tash.
Thanks.
Any more questions for Tash? No. So we also have an update from Christine today about some company-wide stuff. Christine, did you want me to keep sharing, or did you want to share your own?
Yeah, you can keep sharing your slides. I think Victor's gonna talk very high level, and then we'll go into the work that I've been doing. So Victor will kick us off.
Shall I keep it on this slide or next?
To the next one. So the main thing that we do on this product showcase is to see what we are up to in the specific projects. So if you go into the next slide, I really wanted to have a little bit of time to bring everyone together onto Wildlife.ai and what it is, what we do, and why we do it. So everything that we operate on the ground is within this purpose of using AI to accelerate wildlife conservation. And the three main pillars that we have are conservation and education and the foundation. So we talk about the conservation and the education here on the product showcases, and it's mostly about the projects on the ground. But wanted to really highlight that big overview that to be successful, we need to have a strong foundation, a strong community behind that. It can be sustainable. So I'm quite impressed that I was just reflecting today that I work with such a diverse group of people, and that what it unifies us is this main purpose. And it surprised me that if a few years back you tell me that I was going to be working with lawyers and with accountants, with software engineers, electrical engineers, and so on, I would be like, oh, it's crazy. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that. So we go on to the next slide. Wanted to grab Christine's attention and to bring a little bit more of what she's been up to over the last few weeks. So, floor is yours, Christine.
Thank you. So in terms of that foundation pillar, essentially we're solidifying our foundations for scaling up. If we think about a building, the foundations required for a one-story building are different to those that might be required for a tower block. And from a financial perspective, Wildlife.ai has grown almost tenfold in the last 2 years. So we're scaling ourselves up both from a dollars perspective, but more importantly, an impact perspective. So a bit about me. Why am I here? Because accountants can help save the world too, obviously. I've been volunteering for Wildlife.ai for a couple of years. And as treasurer and board member. And I can see Victor's got his hand up, but I'm not sure if that's on purpose. All good. As treasurer and board member for a couple of years, I've got a finance and corporate services background, and across small and medium enterprises and charities. And 3 years ago, I moved into impact measurement and reporting advisory for KPMG. Now, why am I telling you this? 3 years at a big four is enough to make anyone need a career break. And luckily, KPMG have given me 7 months off to do just that. And I'm spending 3 months to focus on Wildlife.ai, and then 4 months to travel around Europe by train. I'll be stopping in Singapore on the way over, and the US West Coast on the way back. So I'm always keen for tips and meetups. If anyone's keen, please do reach out. And then after my travels, I'll be back to my day job at KPMG and my board and treasurer role. And I'll continue to help out on improving the Wildlife.ai foundations wherever I can. And so if you move on to the next slide, what about these 3 months? These 3 months that I am focused on Wildlife.ai, I've already done 2 of them, and there's been a lot of behind the scenes work. So what have I actually been working on? When I say I actually mean we. This is a massive team effort. So a big thank you to everybody who has already been involved and to those who will get involved as well in the future. There's 3 areas of focus. Firstly, finance and performance, people capability and culture, and legal and risk. So we take finance and performance first. What we've been working on is refining our systems for budgeting and tracking income and expenditure. The more transactions, the bigger you get, the more complex that is. And so I've been working with Victor to make this tracking much easier. We've been streamlining our finance and bookkeeping processes, building on the great work that Portia set up. We've also brought in May, a new volunteer, to help. She started with us as a finance assistant 2 weeks ago. So look out for May. She's done some awesome work already. Then other things I've been working on under finance and performance are the year end. So our year end performance report requires, as we grow, we're required to have an independent review. So we've connected with a registered auditor in Taranaki, a local auditor, and I've been working with them to do this review for the first time. This year, as part of our annual report or annual review, we also want to produce a report that shares our impact story. We've got these compliance requirements that we must do as a New Zealand charity, but we want to leverage off that and really share our impact more widely. So once that report is ready, I'll share it with this group and we can all share it with our networks. And I've been working on that with Anna and Marta to produce it. So a massive thanks to them as well. For those that don't know, Marta is the one who's been beavering away behind the scenes on our social media and other comms. And Anna is a board member who's not only helped massively with comms, but also kicked off our data privacy work and improvements to our governance, which I'll talk about the data privacy stuff when we get to the legal and risk side of things. The people capability and culture, while we're on the kudos, another kudos to KK for all the awesome work that she's been doing on organising these showcases and bringing the Wildlife.ai community together. I can't take any credit for that. That's all KK's work, so thank you. But what have I been doing in relation to people capability and culture? I've done some work particularly on our health, safety and wellbeing policies and plans and reviewing and refining them. Amy did some great initial work on this a wee while ago and also has put a hand up to help me refine these as well, which is great. So watch this space for updates. And I think the most important thing for me when it comes to health and safety is making it easy for everybody. We want to keep people safe. We don't want unnecessary red tape. And then finally, the third box of legal and risk, we've done an insurance review. So worked with a local insurance broker to make sure that we are adequately covered for the risks that we face. And then cybersecurity and data privacy. So I mentioned thanks to Anna for starting that work and to Bar for drafting up a responsible use of AI policy. We'll refine those policies. So we'll bring together a cybersecurity and data privacy policy and refine that and the responsible use of AI policy and then share that widely once we've finalized them. So watch out for that. And if you move on to the next slide, what's coming next? Basically, a new Wildlife.ai community Notion page. We've been bringing together a page which will give all volunteers, staff, and contractors a snapshot of what we're all about, our purpose and strategy, to kind of come back to what Victor just talked about, our culture, the way we do things, and then an easy place for everybody to just access these policies and plans. So watch out for the Notion page and also the annual report to share with your networks. And that's me. Back to KK.
Amazing. Thank you, Christine. Before we finish, are there any questions for Christine? And before the questions, I might just stop the recording. Are there any questions?